Jim Cramer, Arthur Levitt, former SEC chairman, Mario Gabelli, worldwide analyst and money manager, and the titans of business that move financial markets. Listen in to Tim Connolly's Winning Strategies, Fridays at 6 a.m. Pacific Time on CRN1.
CRN Digital Talk Radio, the original talkback with Chuck Wilder, Paul Stern at the toll-free number 1-800-336-2225, 1-800-336-2225. We are live across America on this radio station or this cable system and around the world at www.crntalk.com. Program note, tomorrow, Carrie Pickett, Washington Times, her latest article, Arizona Democrats feign outrage over the Department of Justice lawsuit. David McIntosh, co-founder of the Federalist Society, going to be talking about Senator Orrin Hatch, and he says he will not be voting for Elena Kagan. First votes on Kagan will be sometime this week. Kevin's coach Collins, the Collins Report, stating that Obama has taken his third vacation since the Gulf oil spill, plus an article, 16 reasons to vote the Democrats out. And to wrap things up tomorrow, Barry Farber, host of the longest-running talk show on radio today. He's up for nomination into the National Radio Hall of Fame. Right now, I want to go to my guest, Eric Rush. He's the author of Negrophilia, and he says race baiters' unseen tool is negrophilia, an undue, inordinate affinity for blacks, complained with the reflexive demonization of whites as inherently wicked. It's rooted in leftist tactics of division and aimed at advancing policies that keep blacks obedient, whites silent, and political control secure. He was a club, stage, studio musician. He's also been involved in biomedical research, sales, marketing, media production, and Rush was the first to break the story of President, then Senator Barack Obama's ties to the militant Chicago preacher, Reverend Jeremiah Wright. That was back in February 2007. He writes columns for WorldNet Daily. And Eric, welcome to the show, sir. How are you?
I am well. Thanks for having me on.
Glad to have you. There is so much to talk about. Pardon me, I just got some there. Here we go. First, let's go to this new Black Panther Party, and I want to get your take on this. Kill the crackers, kill their babies. Little stern, is it not?
Yes, leaving aside the fact that it's kind of puzzling as to why there is a new Black Panther Party in existence at all, given how far we've come. Obviously, this gentleman, I use the term loosely, King Samir Sabaz, who uttered those words, and he's, a very vitriolic, very hateful individual who is inciting murder. I mean, that's all you can't really call it anything else than that. And obviously, the larger story around that is that this organization and people like him have found a safe legal harbor with the Obama Holder Justice Department.
Absolutely, yep. And as we all know, Bush brought charges against them, voter intimidation. Then I guess they didn't show up for court, and Holder and Obama said, let's drop the charges. And people right now, I think it's stronger right now, you're hearing more opposition like, wait a minute, what's going on here? And now, and we'll get into a little bit more about this Oakland situation, Holder's sticking his 2 cents in up there too. Even though, the guy was found guilty, is it a thing with Holder that I'm just going to go after anybody that goes after the blacks? Is that his agenda?
Well, things like this come from the top down. I mean, we know that the way presidential administrations work, that these things come from the top down, and Obama, more than anyone else, has had his people be rubber stamps more than any. I mean, he's very autocratic in the way that he does things, and it is pretty clear, given his past actions, that he's had an antipathy towards whites and an affinity for blacks and black activist types. Nothing is ever good enough. The problem is that people grow up, black people these days, they grow up hearing all of the stuff from these career activists who say that America is still an institutionally racist nation. The people who are in these poorer areas like Oakland hear that the reason for their pain is racist white people. So their anger is always at a low boil, and then when something like the shooting happens, of course it's a racist incident, and so it flares up into a full boil, and everything seems to be about race with this administration. In truth, it's about controlling us, but they have to get us, or they have to get people inflamed in order to do that. You see that happening in Oakland. You see that happening on the border. They made that an issue of race, and then with the Black Panthers, Obama's doing what he wants, and he's doing it with confidence because he feels that, and rightly so, that the establishment press, the major networks and newspapers and so forth, aren't going to cover it or call him on it. So that's what he does.
And then they're claiming that, we've sent our people out to the voting polls because of what happened in your article, what was it, the elections of 2000, 2004, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Kentucky, Mississippi. People of color were intimidated, and then they make this statement. You have a large percentage of police. There's a perception of intimidation. And you point out, anytime there's a large crowd, there's a large presence of police. I mean, there aren't a large presence of police at voting booths.
Well, anytime there's a large presence of police, there's that perception only on the part of people who have the mentality of the black activist or the Black Panther, or people who have taken heed of them. And they're the ones who really have that perception. The vast majority of black Americans do not subscribe to that, and they're putting forth their view, and we can't take that as truth. We have to take that as a subjective observation, because these are people who believe that every white person in America wakes up, first thing they think about in the morning is how they're going to get the black man.
Yeah. And for the administration to be on their side, I mean, there's something wrong with this picture.
Well, it's pretty obscene. It's frightening. I'm sure that I'm not an attorney, but illegal could be found in there. I mean, we've got a former, Justice Department attorney testifying that it was policy to behave this way, and if things like this do come down from the top, which I'm sure they do,